A quick video on Alex Soros. He was speaking today, I believe, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and it was just very bizarre. So I want to play the clip here and give some commentary, and then we're going to talk about Alex.
I don't think that that's the fundamental. I don't think the technology.
So you can see how weird he's being. He's sniveling sounding. And I hate to be rude or disrespectful, but let's be honest, okay?
Is the fundamental issue in democracy. Democracy is messy. I mean, democracy is about contestation of ideas.
So he's saying technology isn't the most important part of quote unquote democracy, which he calls messy.
It's about plurality. It's about people having different truths, actually. Now,
it's about people having different truths, actually. So Alex Soros says that democracy is about it's about plurality and different people having different truths. I'm sorry, what does that even mean? There's nothing of substance being said. He just wants to sound like he's saying something nice or smart.
Fundamentally, how society lives together civically in those contestations.
What? I'm sorry, but this reminds me of Elizabeth Holmes when she was on the stage with Bill Clinton and Jack Ma, and she was asked a question about something she obviously knew nothing about. It may have been about climate change. And she gave this bizarre response where she said a lot of words came out of her mouth, but there was nothing there of actual substance, and you could tell that everybody knew she had no idea what she was talking about. And rather than just saying, that's not something I'm really educated on, that's not my area of expertise or whatever, she felt like she had to give a smart response, and in attempting to do so revealed that her insecurities really
is obviously quite tricky. But I think that if we play too much on this disinformation card, we're taking the responsibility away from ourselves to actually create a narrative that inspires people.
To create a narrative that inspires people. If we harp on this disinformation thing too much, so you can see he's not very good at articulating himself. He's not particularly smart, and what he's trying to convey, he doesn't even know how to convey it in normal terms because he's so fixated on appearing smart.
To vote and to believe in democracy and democratic institutions. And on the institutional part, I think that we can talk about institutions as these abstract things, but institutions are also about people. And
institutions are like these abstract things, but they're also about people. Wow. Thank you, Alex. I didn't know that.
We just heard this point about untrustworthy people, and we talked about things in the United States like checks and balances, which aren't written anywhere, but are customs. And one man, Donald Trump, literally came in and just took that all away.
What? What are you talking about? You have abandoned them in your absurd pursuit of your political enemies, and I can say you now because you have decided to take on your father's mantle of his quote-unquote philanthropy, and we all know what that means.
But when I see this, when I look at this.
Wow. Having a normal day there, sir?
More,
what is going on here?
Globally regarding democracy, I also say to myself, when was this great time that everybody got along so well, and things were going so great. I mean,
they say on the one hand, when was America ever great, or when was this great time? Like, that's what he's trying to get at. But on the other hand, they are the ones that pursue an absurd idea of a utopia where everybody gets along and everyone has equity. So it's like, okay, you're admitting on the one hand that that's never been a thing in human society, which would mean that you'd have to acknowledge the fallen nature of humanity, and then you'd have to acknowledge Christ as your Lord, which you'll never do because, well, we all know.
I think, I think that we really have to be careful here in this nostalgia. For a time past, because a lot of the reactions we're seeing in society are actually reactions to positive things, like like equality for women, and greater diversity, which come with that.
What? Greater diversity for thee, but not for me, right, Alex? So let's just be real, though. He's not a talented individual. I mean, his father's not particularly talented, like, as far as public speaking goes, but he was better than that. And so, wow, it must have been such a disappointment there. He's the fourth son, I believe, of Soros, and he was not Soros's first pick to be his successor. It was actually Alex's brother, John or Jason. I think his name is Jason, but he had a falling out with the family. Gee, I wonder why. And so George had to pick Alex here, his little buddy. And I feel very sorry for him on the one hand, because you can just see that he's trying so hard to imitate his father and to, like, replace his dad, but he's just not good at anything. Now, this is from a little interview he did here where he's talking about conflict. This was just a few months ago, I believe.
I always recall having conversations with my father about humanitarian relief, and it's something that he did. It's
humanitarian relief. Oh, look at us. We're such good people, so charitable. Don't ever criticize us. Nothing to see here. You can get permanently banned on Fox News for just saying the name George Soros.
Tons of humanitarian relief around the world, but he would always say that, he preferred to deal with problems systemically and deal with the systemic issues.
Systemically and deal with systemic issues. Yeah, okay, buddy. Now, I want to bring up this, that to be fair, this is from a long time ago. It's from 2017. But it's just, he is exactly the way he was today back then. So you can see that this is like part of just how he is. He's an awkward person. He gets this glowing, praising introduction for him that he's only getting because of who his father is and how much money his family has and most likely has donated to this university.
Book on Heinrich Heine's pantheism, the gay science, and the death of God. It's
of course, that's what he's here to talk about.
On the relationship between Nietzsche and Heine, which has occupied a large part of the dissertation, and this is what the previous discussion was also about. I think this one engages both Nietzsche and Heidegger. For us, it's a very important set of topics.
Oh, it's so important that we're hearing from Alex Soros. He's so smart and so special.
Because philosophy used to be very much a part of the life.
Such a philosopher. You heard him articulate himself at Davos just earlier today.
Of the Institute. Since Krzysztof Michalski is passing away, we've neglected philosophy as a topic. For us, it's wonderful to therefore welcome Alex with a talk on some of the history of ideas on Eastern European philosophy, which have been very much part of the identity of the Institute. So welcome back, Alex.
Oh, yay. So we're so excited to have Alex back. I'm sure everybody is sitting here just waiting to hear from him.
Alex, and you have the word.
Now watch the first thing that this dork does.
I just need to get this.
What I mean.
I think I'm good. All right. Thank you all for having me.
What is he doing?
And Shalini, for your very nice introduction. The title of my talk is Rethinking Heine's Pantheism, the Gay Science, and the Death of God.
He's so privileged. I'm sorry, but this man has lived such a privileged existence that he gets to philosophize all day. He gets to do whatever he, go live the party life, blow daddy's money. And then when they decide he needs to be prepped for the public, so he can take over for daddy, oh, look, we've got to take him seriously. Like, isn't it great that you've got the time and the privilege to sit around traveling the world talking about philosophy to an autistic degree? I mean, it's just bizarre, but sorry. I didn't warn you here. We're going to look at an image of... You're going to see some of Alex's associates. And I think you can tell a lot from a person about who they associate with rather than how they outwardly present themselves. But even in these pictures, you can see his inferiority complex, that he knows he's just getting absolutely mogged, even by Pete Buttigieg, for Christ's sake. Physically, he feels inferior, mentally as well, but you can tell he's tried hard to look smacks, but he just can't quite do it. Look at every picture of him with everybody, and he obsessively posts these pictures of him with important people to social media. Here he is with Witless, Governor Witless at Davos. She's also being obviously prepped for a run for higher office. Here he is with a serial aurist and alleged pedo who has flown on Jeffrey Epstein's plane how many times. These are pictures from him in his party days before they started rehabilitating his image. So, on the outside, you have this kind of perfect facade, the wealth and influence and power. He's always signaling his connections with people, but then you have this insatiable need for validation and approval. Like pictures like this where he's got to show, oh, look, I can have a pretty girl with me. But we all know this woman would not be there if his last name wasn't Soros and his father didn't have tons of money that he handed to him. So he's got this need for validation and approval. Like, come on, he can't pull a woman like this without the money. But despite all of his affluence, influence, and all of the public praise he's gotten, he's always signaling this perpetual victimhood. But you can see in his eyes, if you look in his eyes, he is dripping with contempt. He's got this hidden rage inside. He had this party boy image, then they rehabilitated him. He changed his appearance, how he dresses. Yeah. Well, do we have to say anything here? He now is in charge of a $26 billion foundation. And the first thing he said when accepting this, when his father retired at the age of literally 99, was that he's going to be more political than his father. Alex and his father like to use kindness presented as a virtue, which serves as a tool for manipulating public opinion and perception of them. You know, it's beneath the surface of this calculated image is a strategy to have this image of, oh, philanthropy, benevolence, charity. But this is all just a cloak to cover the covert narcissism and the seething contempt hidden behind that veneer.